NBA legend. Mychal Thompson just dropped a bombshell that has the entire WNBA world in shock. Klay Thompson's father, a man with deep connections across professional basketball, went on social media and posted this. "I'm hearing from a reliable source the Fever don't want Caitlin no more. Sparks, go get her. Now." A reliable source. Those three words matter. This is not a fan speculating. This is not a drama channel connecting dots. This is an NBA legend with professional sports industry connections saying he is hearing from inside the Indiana Fever organization that they are done with Caitlin Clark. And now Sporting News, one of the most credible mainstream sports publications in the country, has published a full article linking Clark to a blockbuster trade with the Los Angeles Sparks. The secret is out, and everything that has happened inside the Indiana Fever organization this season suddenly makes a terrifying amount of sense. Let's start with what Thompson actually said, because the wording matters here. He didn't say he thinks the Fever should trade Clark. He didn't say he heard a rumor. He said he is hearing from a reliable source that the Fever don't want Caitlin anymore. That is an insider claim. That is someone with a connection to this organization telling an NBA legend that the decision has already been made. And Thompson's response to that information was to go directly to the Los Angeles Sparks and tell them to go get her now. That level of urgency, that specific call to action, tells you that what Thompson heard wasn't vague. It was specific, it was credible, and it was serious enough for him to go public with it. Thompson isn't alone. Jason Whitlock, who has been covering this situation closely for weeks, has also been publicly pushing the Clark to Sparks trade. And now, Sporting News has entered the conversation. When a publication like Sporting News dedicates an article to a potential trade, that is mainstream sports media acknowledging that this story has moved beyond fan speculation and drama channels. This is a legitimate news story, and the article reveals something that hasn't been widely discussed yet. Clark has clashed not just with Stephanie White, she has clashed with assistant coach Brianne January as well. The conflict inside that organization is deeper than anyone publicly knew. Now let's talk about why this trade makes sense from Indiana's perspective. Because you cannot understand the Thompson bombshell without understanding what has been happening on the court. And what has been happening on the court is a coaching disaster that has been building all season.
She's trying to turn a V12, Caitlin Clark, into an inline 4. She's trying to turn a dirt bike into a tricycle. We're not seeing pick and rolls. We're not best utilizing Aaliyah Boston's skill set being the roller. We're running ISO with Kelsey Mitchell. We're running ISO with Caitlin Clark. We're not setting her any screens. We're not setting her any off.
A V12 being turned into an inline 4. That is the perfect description of what Stephanie White has been doing to Caitlin Clark all season. Clark is the most gifted playmaking point guard in the history of women's basketball. She sees passing lanes before they open. She makes decisions in real time that most guards cannot process. She is at her best when she has the ball in her hands, when she is running pick and roll with Aaliyah Boston, when she is attacking defenses and breaking them down with her vision. And instead of doing that, Stephanie White is running her off screens and putting the ball in Kelsey Mitchell's hands. Isolation after isolation after isolation. No pick and rolls. No designed plays for Clark. Just Clark standing in the corner while Mitchell dribbles the clock down. That is not how you build an offense around a generational talent. That is how you suffocate one. And the results have been exactly what you would expect. Clark has shot under 40% from the field and under 40% from 3 in her last 4 games. The Fever blew a 12-point second-half lead to the New York Liberty on Saturday. Clark came within reach of a triple-double with 9 assists and 7 rebounds, proving she was still creating and facilitating at an elite level, even when her shots weren't falling. But the organization will not see 9 assists and 7 rebounds. They will see 4 of 14 from the field. They will see the shooting numbers. And those shooting numbers are being used to build the case that Clark is the problem. Here is the part that nobody is talking about enough. Clark's shooting struggles are directly connected to the offensive scheme White is running, when you don't run pick and roll for your point guard, when you don't set off-ball screens to get her open looks, when you run so much isolation for other players that Clark spends entire stretches standing in the corner waiting for a pass that never comes. You should not be surprised when she shoots 4 of 14. You have constructed an offense designed to make her struggle. And now you are pointing to the struggles as evidence she doesn't fit.
I don't coach. A lot of times she'll say, what do you want me to look for? And I say, whatever your instincts tell you is there. I don't coach her passing at all. I try to stay out of the way of that. We try to play call to feature, some of the things that we know she's going to find. She's just has an incredible gift on the instincts of who's open, when they're open,
Listen to that contrast. Cheryl Reeve, whose Minnesota Lynx currently have the best record in the league, says she doesn't coach her point guards passing at all. She stays out of the way. She trusts her instincts. She builds the offense around what her point guard does naturally. And the result? The Lynx are winning with a roster that lost multiple key players this offseason. Meanwhile, Stephanie White is yanking Caitlin Clark out of games for turnovers, for assists, for made threes. There is no consistency. There is no trust. There is no system built around Clark's natural strengths. And the disconnect between how elite coaches handle their star point guards and how White handles Clark could not be more stark. The Liberty game on Saturday made everything worse. And the post-game press conference made it clear that White still does not understand what the problem is. She said, 23 free throw attempts in the fourth quarter. We had 2 and we did foul intentionally 3 times, so that's 6. We couldn't get C loose very much at all, and we got to do a better job of finding ways to do that. We couldn't get C loose very much at all. Stephanie White said that in a post-game press conference. The head coach of the Indiana Fever just publicly admitted that she could not figure out how to free up her star player. The player who is supposed to be the centerpiece of this franchise. And what is her solution? We got to do a better job of finding ways. After 3 seasons. After all of this. Her solution is a vague acknowledgement that she needs to find ways. No specific adjustment, no tactical answer, no pick and roll package she is going to install, just we need to find ways. Meanwhile, the Liberty attempted 23 free throws in the fourth quarter against Indiana's 6. They outscored Indiana 29-18 in that quarter. And Clark did not get a single shot in the fourth quarter until 1 minute was left in the game.
Knew how to handle the press was Caitlin Clark. Raven Johnson panicked. Kelsey Mitchell panicked. Everybody panicked. Aaliyah Boston panicked. Embarrassing.
The only person who knew how to handle the press. In a game where the entire team fell apart in the fourth quarter, Clark was the one player who kept her composure under pressure. She was the one player who read the defense correctly. She was the one player doing her job at an elite level, even when everything around her was collapsing. And yet she was the one sitting on the bench without a shot attempt for most of the fourth quarter. That is not a player problem. That is a coaching problem. And Mychal Thompson's source inside the Indiana Fever apparently agrees. Now let's connect this to everything else that has happened this week. Because Thompson's bombshell did not come out of nowhere. It came after Lynn Dunn went on a coaching panel and talked about weeding out players who don't fit the culture and whose behavior is the problem. It came after Lynn Dunn retweeted an article calling Clark the toughest player in the WNBA to coach. It came after GM Amber Cox was caught blocking Clark fans and critics on social media. It came after Stephanie White slammed her clipboard and benched Clark during a winning stretch against Portland. It came after the entire organization spent weeks building a narrative around Clark's behavior and attitude, rather than addressing the coaching failures that are causing her struggles. Thompson's source is not revealing something new. Thompson's source is confirming what the evidence has been showing all season. Sporting News called a potential Clark trade an all-time blunder that the Fever should aim to avoid at all costs. And they are right. Caitlin Clark is the reason anyone is paying attention to this franchise. She is the reason arenas that were drawing 4,000 fans a game are now selling out. She is the reason this league has a television deal worth talking about. Trading her to the Los Angeles Sparks would be the most catastrophic organizational decision in WNBA history. But based on everything Thompson is hearing, based on everything Lynn Dunn has been signaling, based on everything this organization has done and failed to do this season, the people running the Indiana Fever may not care about any of that. They have their culture, they have their coach, and According to Mychal Thompson's reliable source, they no longer have any interest in the player who made all of it possible. The secret is out. Mychal Thompson said the Fever don't want Caitlin anymore. Jason Whitlock has been saying it for weeks. Sporting News is reporting on it. Lynn Dunn planted the seeds on that panel. The dots are all connected. And the only question left is whether the Indiana Fever will actually go through with the most unthinkable trade in WNBA history, or whether someone inside that organization will finally look at what Caitlin Clark means to this franchise and do what needs to be done. Fire Stephanie White. Remove the people who have been building the case against their own star player, and build the offense around the V12 engine they have been trying to turn into an inline 4 all season long. What do you think? Is Caitlin Clark really leaving Indiana? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications because this story is moving fast. We will see you in the next one.